I've always liked being alone. Not in a sad, lonely way, just in a way that made sense to me. Being around people drained me. Their voices, their expectations, the way they filled silence with noise because they couldn't bear the weight of it. I preferred the quiet, craved it. That's why I went camping alone. I'd done it plenty of times before, packed my gear, found a secluded spot deep in the woods, and spent a few nights under the stars with nothing but the crackle of a fire and the rustling of trees for company. This trip was supposed to be like all the others. Peaceful, restorative, a break from the world, but the woods had other plans. I set out early in the morning, driving up the winding mountain roads, watching civilization shrink in my rearview mirror. The sky was a dull gray, heavy with the promise of rain, but that didn't bother me. I had a sturdy tent, enough supplies for a few days, and a map that marked out a secluded clearing miles away from any trails. It was perfect. The hike in was uneventful, peaceful even. The air smelled of damp earth and pine, the kind of scent that settles deep in your lungs and makes you feel alive. Birds called to each other in the canopy above, and somewhere in the distance, a stream babbled over rocks. By mid-afternoon, I found the spot. A wide, open patch of earth ringed by towering trees, their trunks thick with moss. I dropped my pack, stretched my aching shoulders, and got to work setting up camp. An hour later, my tent stood sturdy beneath an ancient oak. I gathered wood, built a fire, and settled in for the night. As the sun dipped below the trees, the world turned to shadows. The woods became something else entirely, alive in a way that was different from the daytime. The breeze carried whispers through the branches. The firelight flickered, casting shifting shapes against the trunks. The silence stretched, thick and heavy. I should have been used to it, but that night something felt off. Maybe it was the way the trees seemed closer than they had during the day, or the way the air felt charged like the moment before a storm, or maybe it was the footprints. I noticed them as I was stoking the fire. Not mine. I knew what my own boot prints looked like. These were different, smaller, barefoot. They circled my camp. My stomach clenched. I stood slowly, scanning the dark. My flashlight cut through the trees, but there was nothing. Just the woods stretching endlessly in all directions. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe an animal. Maybe I'd imagined it. But when I sat back down, I kept the knife close. Just in case. The first night was restless. I woke up to the sound of something moving outside my tent. Not an animal. Something deliberate. A slow, shuffling step like bare feet dragging through the dirt. I held my breath, heart pounding. Another step, closer this time. I reached for my flashlight and flicked it on. The sound stopped instantly. Silence. I stayed like that for what felt like an eternity, gripping the flashlight like a weapon, waiting for something to happen. But nothing did. Eventually, exhaustion won out. I told myself it was the wind, the trees shifting, my mind playing tricks. I buried myself in my sleeping bag and forced myself to sleep. Morning brought a false sense of security. I stepped out of my tent, stretching, shaking off the unease of the night before. The woods were bright, the sun breaking through the leaves in golden beams. Birds sang. It felt normal again, until I saw the footprints. More of them. Fresh. Leading from the edge of the woods right up to my tent. I stopped breathing. Someone had been here, watching me, standing inches from where I slept. I scanned the tree line, heart hammering. Hello? My voice barely carried in the thick air. Nothing. The footprints led back into the woods, disappearing into the underbrush. I thought about packing up, leaving right then. But part of me, the part that didn't want to admit I was scared, said no. It was probably just a lost hiker, a harmless wanderer. Still, I kept my knife on me the rest of the day. That night, I built the fire bigger. I sat close to it, staring into the flames, listening. The woods were quieter than usual. No crickets, no owls, just the occasional sigh of wind through the trees. A bad sign. I forced myself to eat, to drink some water, to keep my mind occupied. But as the hours dragged on, the weight of the silence pressed in. And then I heard it. Soft, distant, a voice. I froze. It came from the trees. Faint, but unmistakable. A child's voice. Help me. The hair on my arms stood on end. I grabbed my flashlight, scanning the darkness. Hello? No response. I told myself it was my imagination. The wind. A bird. But then it came again. Help me. Closer this time. Something about it was wrong. Flat. Emotionless. I stood, every instinct screaming at me to run. But my legs wouldn't move. The fire crackled, throwing sparks into the night. My breath came shallow, ragged. A branch snapped to my left. I whipped the flashlight in that direction. Nothing. Then, just at the edge of the light, something moved. A figure. Small. Still. Watching me. My pulse thundered in my ears. Who's there? The figure didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stood there, half hidden in the trees. A child. Or something that looked like one. Its head tilted. Its limbs too long, too thin. I stepped back, my foot crunching in the leaves. The sound seemed to stir it. The head jerked upright, the body twitching unnaturally. Then, it smiled. And in a blink, it was gone. The woods exploded with sound, branches snapping, leaves rustling, footsteps pounding away into the distance. I stood frozen, the flashlight shaking in my grip. Then the whispers started. All around me. Too many voices. Calling my name. I ran. Straight into the dark. I don't know how long I ran. The flashlight beam bounced wildly as I crashed through the underbrush, my breaths ragged, my heart hammering so hard it felt like it might break my ribs. Branches slashed at my arms, roots caught my boots, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. The voices were still there, whispering my name from the trees, overlapping, multiplying. Come back. You're lost. Stay with us. I didn't listen. I kept running. Until I tripped. My foot caught on something and I went down hard. My shoulder hit the ground first. Pain jolting through me as the flashlight slipped from my grip and rolled away, its beam swinging wildly. I pushed up onto my elbows, sucking in a breath, then froze. The ground beneath me wasn't dirt. It was soft, warm, and it moved. I scrambled backward, my hands sinking into something that pulsed beneath my palms. The flashlight beam landed on the thing I tripped over, and my stomach twisted into a knot so tight I thought I might vomit. It was a body, or what was left of one. The skin was stretched too thin, gray and sunken, the face barely recognizable. The mouth was open in a soundless scream, the eye sockets hollow. But the worst part, the part that made my blood turn to ice, was the chest. It was still moving, rising, falling, like it was trying to breathe. A breathless whisper slid through the trees. Help me. My body reacted before my brain did. I grabbed the flashlight and bolted. I don't remember making it back to camp. 1 second I was running through the dark, branches clawing at my face, the whispers snapping at my heels. The next, I was stumbling into the clearing, gasping for air, my legs shaking so bad I could barely stay upright. The fire had burned down to embers, casting everything in a dull orange glow. My tent stood exactly where I left it, untouched, undisturbed. For a moment, I thought maybe it was all in my head. But then I saw them. The footprints. More of them now circling my tent. And something else. Words. Scratched into the dirt. Don't run. My breath caught in my throat. A breeze stirred the trees. The night pressed in around me, thick and suffocating. I didn't care. I grabbed my bag, stuffed it with whatever I could, and tore down the tent with shaking hands. My only thought was to get the hell out of there, to put as much distance between me and whatever was in these woods as possible. But then, snap, a twig breaking, right behind me. I turned so fast I nearly lost my balance. The flashlight swung up, cutting through the dark. Nothing, but I could feel it, watching, waiting. The air was thick with silence, like the whole forest was holding its breath. I swallowed hard. My truck was miles away. I could try to hike back in the dark, but my gut told me that was exactly what it wanted. No, I needed to wait for morning. I needed to survive the night. I built the fire higher. I sat with my back to a tree, gripping my knife so tight my fingers went numb. Every crackle of burning wood made me flinch. Every shifting shadow made my pulse spike. The whispers didn't come back. Neither did the voices. But the feeling never left. The feeling that I wasn't alone. That something was standing just beyond the firelight. Watching. Waiting. Hunger in its smile. At some point, exhaustion took me. I must have slept, though it didn't feel like sleep. It felt like drowning. A heavy weight pressed against my chest. My limbs wouldn't move. My mouth wouldn't open. I was awake, but I wasn't. And then I saw it. A shadow standing over me. No features. No face. Just eyes. Deep, hollow pits that seemed to pull at me. The whispers returned, thick as fog, curling around my head. Stay. You don't have to be alone. We'll take care of you. I tried to scream, to move, but I couldn't. And then, it reached for me. I woke up gasping. The fire was nearly out. The sky was turning gray with the first hints of dawn. My body felt like it had been weighed down with stones. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my bag, slung it over my shoulder, and ran. I didn't stop to pack the rest of my gear. I didn't care. I just ran. The hike back was a blur. I don't know how I made it to my truck. I only remember the relief that hit me when I saw it sitting right where I left it, its old frame covered in dew. I threw my bag inside, fumbled with the keys, and started the engine. The second I hit the gas, something moved in my peripheral vision. At the edge of the trees, a figure, standing perfectly still, watching me. I didn't look. I didn't want to see. I just drove. And I didn't stop. Not until I was miles away, civilization rising around me like a lifeline. Only then did I pull over, chest heaving, hands shaking against the wheel. Only then did I dare to breathe. I never went back. I don't know what I saw in those woods. I don't know what it wanted. But sometimes on quiet nights when the world is still, I swear I hear it. A whisper drifting through the dark, calling my name, waiting for me to come back. I thought I was safe. For days after I left those woods, I told myself it was over. That whatever happened out there, whatever I saw, whatever I heard was behind me. But I was wrong, because the whispers followed me. The first time I heard them in my apartment. It was late. I had just finished a shower, steam curling along the mirror as I dried my face. The night was quiet, the city humming faintly outside my window. And then, come back. A whisper. Soft. So soft I almost thought I imagined it. But I knew better. I turned fast, my heart hammering, my pulse a roar in my ears. Nothing. The apartment was empty. I was alone. But the feeling, that cold, crawling feeling, was back. Like something was watching me. Like something was waiting. The next time, it was in my truck. I was driving home from work, exhausted, the freeway stretching dark and empty in front of me. I blinked hard, trying to fight off the creeping fatigue, when I caught something in the rearview mirror. A shadow, in my back seat. I slammed the brakes. The truck skidded, tires screeching, heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. My breath hitched, my hands trembling as I slowly turned to look. Nothing. The seat was empty, but the whisper was there. You left us. Cold swept through me like a wave. I gripped the wheel and pressed the gas, refusing to look in the mirror again. Sleep became impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I was back there. In the woods, in the dark. The whispering, the breathing, the thing standing over me. I stopped going to work. Stopped leaving my apartment at all. My phone buzzed with messages from concerned friends, but I ignored them because I knew they wouldn't understand. I knew it was still with me, and I knew deep down it wanted me back. 3 days later, I woke up to find something in my room. It wasn't big. At first, I thought it was just a lump under my blankets, something I had left on the bed. But when I reached out and touched it, my fingers met something soft. I pulled the blanket back, and my breath caught in my throat. It was my tent, folded neatly, sitting in the center of my bed, like someone had placed it there, waiting. A chill ran through me. I hadn't brought it back. I had left it in the woods. My hands shook as I reached out, heart pounding, fingers brushing the fabric. Cold, damp, like it had just been outside. And then, something shifted. The air in my apartment changed. Heavy, suffocating. A whisper curled against my ear, so close I could feel the breath of it. Come back. I lunged for the tent. I grabbed it, rushed to the door, and threw it outside into the hallway. The second it was out of my apartment, the air cleared. The pressure was gone. The whispering stopped. I slammed the door, locked it, and stepped back, chest heaving. I didn't sleep that night. By morning, the tent was back inside, sitting in the same spot, waiting. I knew then that I had no choice. I had to go back. I packed quickly. Water, food, my knife, the tent. I didn't need to pack it. It was already coming with me whether I wanted it to or not. By the time I reached my truck, the sky was dark with storm clouds. The air felt heavy, thick with something wrong. I hesitated. One last chance to turn back. But I knew it wouldn't matter, because it wouldn't stop. Not until I was back where it wanted me. The drive was long. The closer I got to the forest, the worse I felt. My stomach twisted. My hands gripped the wheel so tight my knuckles went white. And the whispers, they were back. Soft at first, curling in the corners of my mind. Then louder, excited. They knew I was coming back. They were waiting. The woods were exactly as I left them. Silent, still, watching. I parked at the trailhead, hesitating for only a moment before stepping out. The moment my boots hit the dirt, the forest breathed. A long, slow exhale, like something waking up. And the whispers came, soft, slithering, calling me deeper. I took a step forward, then another, and I walked. The campsite was untouched, or at least it should have been. But as I stepped into the clearing, my breath caught in my throat. My tent was already set up, waiting for me, exactly where I had left it before I ran, as if I had never left. I swallowed hard, my heartbeat thudding in my ears. The air was thicker here, darker, like the sun didn't quite reach this place anymore, like the forest had claimed it. I forced myself to move. Step by step, I approached the tent, my pulse hammering in my throat. I reached out. My fingers trembled as I gripped the zipper, and then, before I could open it, the whispering stopped, a silence so heavy it pressed against my skin. Something was behind me. I knew it before I turned. I could feel it, the cold, the presence, watching, waiting. I turned slowly, and my breath died in my throat. It was me, standing at the edge of the trees, an exact copy. My face, my clothes, but wrong. Its eyes too black. It smiled too wide. It tilted its head, and in my voice it whispered, "Welcome back." My body locked up. The thing standing before me, the thing wearing my face, didn't move. It just stood there, head tilted, lips curled into that unnatural grin. Waiting. For what? I didn't know. But I could feel it. A hunger. A pull. Like it was waiting for me to break. I stepped back. My boot scraped against the dirt and the sound snapped through the silence like a gunshot. The thing grinned wider. "You left," it whispered, still using my voice. "But you came back. They always come back." I swallowed hard, my throat dry as dust. Behind me, my tent rippled, like something was moving inside it. Something breathing. I didn't dare look. Couldn't. My focus was locked on the thing in front of me, on the thing wearing my skin. Took a step forward. I took a step back. The whispering returned. Not just from the thing, but from the trees, from the ground, from the very air itself. Soft voices, familiar voices, mine, whispering my own thoughts back at me. "You should never have come alone. You were never meant to leave. You belong to us now." The trees closed in. I hadn't noticed it before, but the path I had taken was gone. There was only forest. Thick, suffocating. No way out. I turned back to my tent. It was open. The zipper halfway down. Dark inside. Something was in there. Watching. Waiting. I knew, deep in my bones, that if I looked inside, if I stepped inside, I would never leave. "Run." The word screamed in my head, but my body wouldn't move. The thing that wore my face took another step. I could see myself. Every detail. The scar on my knuckle. The crease in my jacket. It was perfect. Except for the eyes. Black. Hollow. Hungry. It lifted a hand. Reaching. Inviting. "Come inside." Something snapped in me. I lunged. Not toward the tent. Not toward the thing. Away. I ran. Branches tore at my arms. Thorns sliced my legs. The forest howled around me, the whispers rising to a deafening scream. But I didn't stop. Couldn't. I pushed forward. The ground beneath me shifted. Something pulling. Dragging. Like hands reaching up from the dirt. Trying to keep me here. The trees stretched taller, their shapes twisting, bending, forming figures. Figures with no faces. Figures that watched. I ran faster. Then, a break in the trees. Light. The trail. I threw myself forward. Lungs burning. Legs screaming in protest. And then, silence. I burst from the tree line. Fell to the ground. Gasping. The air thin. Clear. No whispers. No shadows. Just the morning light stretching across the dirt path. And the road ahead. I was out. I forced myself to look back. The woods stood still. Dark. Quiet. The campsite was gone. Like it had never been there at all. I didn't stop. I climbed into my truck, hands trembling, my entire body shaking. I turned the key. The engine roared to life. And I left. I drove for hours. Didn't stop. Didn't look back. Not until I was home, in my apartment, doors locked, lights on. Only then did I let myself breathe. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't, because every time I closed my eyes, I saw myself, standing at the edge of the trees, smiling, waiting. A week passed. Then, too, the whispers faded. The shadows in my room stopped stretching toward me. I started to believe I was safe, that I had escaped. But then, tonight, I came home to find something waiting for me, sitting in the center of my living room. My tent, folded neatly, like it had never left, like it was waiting for me to come back, for me to finish what I started. I stared at it, frozen. A whisper curled around my ear, soft, patient. We're not done. And I knew, deep down, it will never let me go.